This whole Brexit thing, when you know, you're judging them on Brexit, they don't know nothing about it. Who knows about Brexit?
Yeah, quite.
No one's got a fucking clue what Brexit is, yeah? You watch Question Time. Let's be fair.
Oh.
I think you're referring to our former Prime Minister.
Yeah, but how comes he can scuttle off? He called all this on.
Yeah.
Yeah?
He has no regrets.
Where is he? He's in Europe, in Nice, with his trotters up, yeah? Where is the geezer? It's comedy.
Were you no clearer when Jeremy Corbyn explained
No, I got the
Labour's
clue.
policy?
No one knows what it is. It's like this mad riddle that no one knows what it is, right? So what's happened to that twat David Cameron who called it on?
Danny Dyer just exposed Labour's housing policy contradiction on live TV. The actor challenged Angela Rayner, asking how Labour can claim there's both a housing shortage and plenty of houses available. This confrontation highlights the growing frustration with Labour's messaging. As Rayner fumbled for answers, it became clear that the party's stance on housing is far from coherent. What other inconsistencies might be lurking in Labour's policies? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Good Morning Britain, a program renowned for its animated discussions and encounters with public personalities, was the setting for the unexpected altercation. The tension was palpable as the cameras rolled and EastEnders star Danny Dyer squared up against Labour Party Deputy Leader Angela Rayner. Rayner, despite her own lowly origins, now represented the Labour elite, whereas Dyer, with his Cockney accent and working-class upbringing, stood in sharp contrast. It was immediately apparent that this would not be your average political interview when Dyer started asking questions.
Before about Brexit on Good Evening Britain, and it went viral. And
Yeah.
you said about David Cameron with the trotters up. What are your thoughts now?
Quite poetic, that, wasn't it?
That was really poetic. That done
Same
really
thing,
well
it's the
for
same
us.
thing, listen.
Are you bored? Are you really
Everyone
bored?
is. Everyone is. You know, he needs to be held accountable for it. You know, there's no two ways about it. Where is he? I'll say it again. Where is the geezer? So, you know, it is what it is. We've got to try and get on with our lives somehow and stop talking the same. Well, listen, you know, it is what it is. It's a shame. It's a shame, you know. It's a shame. But they're just young people trying to go about their lives, you know.
Dyer surprised Rayner by asking a slew of incisive questions concerning Labour's dedication to the working class, as he questioned Rayner about the party's recent policy choices, which many see to be a betrayal of classic Labour ideals. His eyes tightened. Clearly uneasy, Rayner tried to defend her party's position, but her arguments didn't appear to hold water. Dyer intensified his criticism, concentrating on Labour's housing plans, as Rayner found it difficult to offer definitive responses. You can't on the one hand say we got to build this 1.5 million houses and then say there's plenty of housing already, he said, exposing a stark contradiction in Rayner's claims. Rayner was left fumbling for a cogent response, as this instance brought to light the contradictions in Labour's narrative. A fever pitch of tension erupted in the studio as Dyer pressed harder on particular problems.
Well, one of the challenges we face because of the Conservatives crashed the economy and the situation we're going to inherit is that we won't be able to reverse everything that the Conservatives have done over the last 13 years. The house building that I'm proposing at the start of conference that we'll be announcing more this week is about actually giving people secure futures and making sure that we can tackle things like child poverty. But we've had 13 years of Conservative failure, a crashed economy, so we're going to inherit a very difficult programme if we were lucky enough to win the next general election, and therefore we're realistic about what we're able to achieve, but we will change Britain for the better.
He criticized Labour for failing to address the concerns of working-class areas and questioned the party's response to the housing crisis. Dyer's drive to seek direct answers appeared to be strengthened by Rayner's attempts to deflect and pivot. Unexpectedly, Dyer accused Rayner and the Labour Party of a heinous crime. He claimed that their policies were intentionally hurting the working class rather than merely failing to assist them. Dyer accused Labour of abandoning its core voters, citing farmers and elderly who felt deceived by tax increases and benefit cut. Dyer and Rayner's altercation was more than just a noon television drama. It brought to light more serious problems with the Labour Party's relationship with its historic base. Viewers were left to consider the broader ramifications implications of this conflict when the dust settled? What does this signify for the future of labor? Is it possible for the party to balance its new course with its working class origins? Good Morning Britain may have just opened a can of worms for the Labour Party with the unexpected encounter. What if Danny Dyer and Angela Rayner's altercation was a sign of a much more serious issue rather than only one heated incident? The Labour Party is at a turning point in its history, and the course it takes might change British politics for years to come. Dyer's critique went right to the heart of Labour's alleged violation of its fundamental principles. While pursuing measures that appear to go against the party's traditional attitude, he revealed the party's fight to preserve its working class identity. This altercation brought to light the recent moves made by Labour that have left many of its followers feeling abandoned. Consider Labour's housing policies, for example. A deeper problem within the party was shown by Rayner's contradictory remarks during the interview. She acknowledged a housing scarcity, but asserted that there are plenty of houses. Viewers were perplexed by Labour's actual stance on the housing crisis, a crucial issue for many working class families, as a result of this contradiction. But the issues are not limited to housing. Some of Labour's most ardent followers have been disenchanted with the party's recent policy changes. Farmers and pensioners, who were formerly loyal Labour supporters, now feel deceived by changes to inheritance tax and reductions in winter heating payments. Labour's dedication to safeguarding the very people it purports to represent has come under scrutiny in light of these actions. These difficulties were brought into stark relief by the live TV clash, which also revealed Labour's difficulty in striking a compromise between the interests of its traditional base and those of younger generations. The party runs the risk of losing touch with its core principles and the voters who have traditionally backed it as it tries to increase its appeal. According to experts, Labour's current approach is at best tenuous. Critics contend that the party lacks a clear future vision and that its programs appear to be reactive rather than proactive. Labour finds it challenging to win back the public's trust and clearly convey its objectives in the lack of a cohesive message. The confrontation has elicited a strong public response. Discussions concerning Labour's direction have been rife on social media, with many people voicing dissatisfaction and disappointment. This identity problem may have serious long-term effects, including significantly eroding Labour's base of support. One question dominates discussions about the Labour Party's future. Will it be able to appeal to a wider range of voters while re-establishing a connection with its working class roots? The party's future in the upcoming years may depend on how this question is answered. Deeply ingrained problems inside the Labour Party have been shown by the altercation between Danny Dyer and Angela Rayner. It's obvious that Labour has a big problem striking a balance between its new approach and its traditional beliefs. Many supporters feel abandoned by the party's efforts to retain its working class identity while adopting policies that appear to go against its fundamental beliefs. A number of questions come to mind as we consider the future. Is it possible for Labour to reconcile the widening gap between its traditional base and leadership? Will the party be able to appeal to a wider range of people while simultaneously addressing the issues raised by working class voters? Most significantly, how will Labour's performance in the next elections be affected by this identity crisis? This event serves as a reminder of how influential public discourse is in forming political narratives. It demonstrates how citizens' critical engagement with politicians can result in heightened scrutiny and demands for responsibility. It's obvious that as time goes on, these confrontational moments and the discussions they provoke will continue to influence the connection between Labour and its followers.